Friday, Todd Blanche was Trump's attorney general. Right now, Trump's calling for his resignation and arrest. According to reports from Monday, what happened during a closed-door meeting wasn't just a policy disagreement. Sources say it crossed into insubordination. Trump's response? Public, immediate, brutal. I've been going through the statements, the leaked memos, the conflicting accounts. Here's what I found. Quick context. Todd Blanche, former federal prosecutor, left the Southern District of New York in 2021, built a white-collar defense practice, became Trump's attorney in 2023, appointed attorney general in January 2025. The issue, what happened during Friday's cabinet meeting, went beyond normal disagreement. Timeline, fast version. Last Tuesday, DOJ announces it's declining to pursue certain investigations Trump wanted. Thursday, Trump publicly criticizes DOJ leadership on Truth Social. Friday morning, emergency cabinet meeting called. Blanche reportedly pushes back. Friday afternoon, Trump posts demanding Blanche's immediate resignation. Saturday, calls for arrest escalate. That's the setup. Now the details. Okay, the evidence. First report, published Monday in the Washington Post. Sources describe what happened Friday. Quoting here, the Attorney General directly refused a presidential directive, telling Trump the request was legally impossible. That's not my take, that's the reporting. What it means? This wasn't quiet disagreement. This was open defiance. But here's what got me. Different source, New York Times, Monday evening. Blanche reportedly told Trump in front of 7 cabinet members, "I won't do that. It violates federal law." The specific request? Trump allegedly wanted DOJ to open criminal investigations into 4 federal judges who ruled against him in recent cases. Put those together, yeah, that's a constitutional crisis. I went through reporting from 5 outlets. Patterns clear. Trump demanded prosecutions of judges. Blanche refused on constitutional grounds. Trump exploded. All corroborated across multiple sources. Now, what nobody's covering. The timeline of Trump's posts Friday afternoon. 4:23 p.m., first post calling Blanche a disaster. 4:31 p.m., second post, worst AG appointment ever made. 4:47 p.m., third post, resign now. 5:12 p.m., fourth post, if he won't resign, he should be arrested for dereliction of duty. Read that again. That changes this. A sitting president calling for his own attorney general's arrest. 11 posts total within 3 hours. The word arrest appeared in 4 posts. Treason in 3. Resign immediately in 8. That's not normal presidential criticism. That's scorched earth. Fallout within the administration. 3 DOJ officials publicly defended Blanche by Saturday morning. 2 cabinet members reportedly called Trump to advocate for him. White House counsel's office scrambling to contain the situation within 24 hours. Here's the other piece. Leaked memo from Friday's meeting obtained by Politico. Blanche reportedly said, "Mr. President, the independence of DOJ isn't optional. It's constitutional. I can't and won't prosecute your political enemies." That's in the reporting. Multiple sources confirmed. What it shows, Blanche drew a line, not about politics, about law. The response from the White House? Press secretary issued a statement Saturday. The president has full authority to direct the Department of Justice and expects his cabinet to follow lawful orders. Key word there, lawful. Blanche's position is the orders weren't lawful. Then Sunday, escalation. Trump allies in Congress announced they're drafting articles demanding Blanche's removal. Senator from Florida said he's preparing legislation to enable direct presidential firing of the AG without cause. Current law makes that complicated, but they're trying to change it. And look, the Republican caucus is split. Sunday afternoon, 12 Republican senators issued a joint statement supporting Blanche and DOJ independence. That's significant. That's Republicans breaking from Trump publicly. Meanwhile, 23 House Republicans signed the letter backing Trump's position that the AG serves at the pleasure of the president and must execute his agenda. Parties fracturing in real time. Blanche himself, one statement issued Saturday evening through DOJ press office. I serve the Constitution and the rule of law. I will continue to do so as long as I hold this office. No resignation, no backing down, no apology. 31 words. That's it. Hasn't spoken publicly since. If this breakdown's useful, subscribe. More coming on this. Okay, but look, gotta be fair here. The other side has a point. A few points, actually. Trump supporters say the Attorney General works for the president and must implement the president's law enforcement priorities. And honestly, some of it holds up. Their argument, first, the president is the chief executive. Article 2 gives him authority over all executive branch agencies, including DOJ. Second, if an AG won't execute the president's agenda, the president has every right to demand resignation or find someone who will. Constitutional attorney Mike Davis put it this way: the AG doesn't get to decide which presidential directives to follow. That's insubordination. Don't agree with all of it, but that's not nothing. What they've got, the president appoints the AG specifically to carry out his administration's law enforcement vision. Elections have consequences. Trump won on a platform of prosecuting corruption. His supporters say that includes corrupt judges. Even legal scholar John Yoo acknowledges presidential control of prosecutorial discretion has historical precedent. Look, I'm not here to tell you who's right. The pro-Trump side has arguments rooted in executive power theory. Consider this. Every administration directs DOJ priorities. Obama focused on civil rights enforcement. Trump's first term prioritized immigration. Biden emphasized voting rights. That's normal. Trump's defenders say prosecuting judges who ruled unlawfully is just another priority. The counterargument is those judges ruled against Trump personally, making it self-interested rather than policy-driven. But where's the line? Trump's base sees this as part of a pattern. Bureaucrats and appointees refusing to implement the elected president's agenda. Their evidence? First term, multiple cabinet officials resigned rather than execute Trump's directives. Defense Secretary, Homeland Security, others. Now his own Attorney General. From their view, it's the administrative state blocking the will of voters. And there's another angle. If unelected officials can simply refuse presidential orders they disagree with, does the president actually run the executive branch? Former Attorney General under Trump, Matt Whitaker, noted, an AG who won't follow the president should resign, not force a confrontation. That's a fair point. Both can be true. Blanche may be defending constitutional principles. The evidence suggests he is. And he may be overstepping by substituting his judgment for the elected president's. Trump supporters genuinely believe that. What I can tell you, what the public record shows, and it shows Trump demanded prosecutions, Blanche refused, and now we're in uncharted constitutional territory. Whether that's a crisis of executive power or defense of judicial independence, you decide. But the conflict is real. This didn't come out of nowhere. Backstory, quick. Months back, Blanche appointed after contentious confirmation. Some senators worried about his loyalty to Trump given their attorney-client history. Weeks before that, Trump publicly said he wanted an AG who'd, quote, fight and, quote, not be weak like in the first term. Days after confirmation, Blanche gave a speech emphasizing DOJ independence and nonpartisan prosecution. Someone even said, on record, a former Trump advisor told reporters, he's going to regret choosing someone with a spine. What happened? Blanche stood firm. Pattern during his tenure, declined to investigate Trump's 2024 election opponents without evidence. Refused to reopen cases against Hillary Clinton. Pushed back on demands to prosecute media figures. Every time, cited lack of evidence or constitutional concerns. Until this became the breaking point. Here's the thing about Blanche's background. Prosecutor for 8 years, handled mob cases, public corruption, high-stakes trials, built a career on going where evidence led, not where politics pointed. That guy takes a G job with Trump and somehow people thought he'd become a political enforcer? Doesn't track. Something fundamental hasn't changed. Blanche still sees himself as a prosecutor, not a political operative. Trump sees the AG as part of his team. Those views can't coexist. See where this is going? Like this. Friday, 3:45 p.m. Here's what happened. According to sources in the room, Trump stood up mid-meeting, pointed at Blanche, said 5 words. "You're done. Get out now." Room went silent. What followed, Blanche reportedly stayed seated, said he serves at the pleasure of the president, but won't be intimidated into violating his oath. Trump repeated the demand to leave. Blanche stood, gathered his materials, walked out. 47 seconds of confrontation. That fast. Now, what everyone missed. While people focused on the firing demand, something else happened. White House counsel tried to intervene, told Trump he can't actually fire the AG without cause under current statutes. Trump reportedly responded, "Then I'll find another way." 17 minutes later, the Truth Social post started. That wasn't reactive. That was the plan. Can't fire him legally? Destroy him publicly until he quits. You can see it in the pattern of posts. Each one escalated, each one more personal. By the 6th post, Trump was calling for criminal investigation of Blanche himself for obstruction of the president's duties. The irony. Blanche won't prosecute judges, so Trump wants Blanche prosecuted. This is where it gets interesting, because Senate Republicans noticed immediately. Within 2 hours, calls started between senior senators and White House Chief of Staff. Message: back off or lose the caucus. Trump didn't back off. By Saturday morning, the Republican Party started choosing sides. Don't go anywhere. What I show next changes the picture. What are experts saying? Former Attorney General under Obama Eric Holder served 6 years. DOJ independence isn't negotiable. Blanche is right to resist. Plain English, this is a red line. Another one, conservative legal scholar Jonathan Turley. While I understand presidential frustration, prosecuting judges for their rulings would destroy separation of powers. Key there, even Trump-friendly legal scholars are uncomfortable. Here's what's interesting. Even former Trump Attorney General Bill Barr said, there are limits to what a president can ask DOJ to do. When your own former AG says you've gone too far, pay attention. But there's disagreement on remedy. Trump allies say if Blanche won't comply, he should resign and let Trump appoint someone who will. DOJ veterans say Blanche has a duty to stay and prevent abuse of power. Former Deputy Attorney General under Bush, Larry Thompson, broke it down. An AG's oath is to the Constitution first, the president second. Blanche has it right. That's the key distinction. Who does the Attorney General serve? Trump says the president who appointed him. DOJ tradition says the law and Constitution. Former Assistant Attorney General under Reagan, Charles Cooper, noted using DOJ to prosecute judges over rulings would be an impeachable abuse of power. Impeachment. That's the stakes. If Trump forces this and Blanche complies, Trump could face impeachment for obstruction. If Blanche refuses and gets fired or forced out, constitutional crisis. Consensus among legal experts, there's no good outcome here. Someone loses badly. The real question is whether the rule of law survives the collision. Former Solicitor General Neil Katyal put it this way: we're watching a stress test of constitutional norms in real time. That's where professionals land. This isn't about Republican versus Democrat. It's about whether DOJ can be weaponized against judges. Every legal expert I've seen, left and right, says that's a line you don't cross. Trump's crossing it anyway. If this helps, hit like. Matters. Why should you care? Real talk, how this affects actual people? Money. If you have any interaction with federal courts, pay attention. When the executive branch threatens judges with prosecution for their rulings, judicial independence collapses. Your wallet. Judges who fear retaliation rule based on politics, not law. You're in a lawsuit against a government agency? Good luck getting a fair hearing if the judge knows ruling against the government could trigger investigation. That's how it works when courts aren't independent. What's some informed people doing? Checking which judges are handling their cases and whether they've ruled against the administration. Not advice, just what I'm seeing. Precedent. This sets a precedent. Next time you're in federal court for anything, tax dispute, employment case, whatever, the judge's independence matters. Quick example. You sue the IRS for wrongful collection. Judge rules in your favor. Under this precedent, could that judge face investigation for, quote, bias against the executive branch? Sounds extreme. That's the road we're on. Not dramatic. That's how precedents work. If a president can threaten prosecution of judges, every president will. Who's affected? Right now, all 677 sitting federal judges watching this. 43 have cases involving Trump or his administration currently on their dockets, every one of them wondering if their rulings could make them targets. Hits immediately. Judges might start ruling defensively, avoiding controversial decisions, deferring to executive power even when law doesn't support it. Whether you support Trump or oppose him, judicial independence protects everyone. What nobody wants to say. Uncomfortable part. If Trump succeeds in forcing out Blanche and installs a compliant AG who will prosecute judges, we're in authoritarian territory. Not hyperbole. That's the definition. When the executive controls the courts through threat of prosecution, separation of powers is dead. If you care about limited government, this should terrify you regardless of party. Not trying to scare you, that's what constitutional scholars across the spectrum are saying. Practical. What informed people doing? Watching which senators support Blanche versus Trump. That tells you who actually believes in institutional constraints. Reviewing their own interactions with federal agencies in case this escalates. Asking themselves, if my case goes to federal court, can I still expect impartial justice? Those are real questions now. This isn't theoretical. You get audited by IRS, challenge it in tax court, judge rules for you. Is that judge now at risk? You're in a criminal trial. Federal judge suppresses evidence against you. Does that judge face retaliation? These aren't far-fetched scenarios. They're next. If Trump can threaten judges over rulings, every interaction with federal courts changes. Most people deal with federal systems eventually. Social Security appeals, immigration matters, tax disputes, federal employment cases. The judges who hear those cases need to be free from political pressure. That's what's at stake. Not some abstract constitutional principle. Your ability to get fair treatment when you're up against the government. That matters. How'd Blanche respond after Friday? Strategically, honestly. Saturday evening, that one statement through DOJ, no elaboration, no press conference, no interviews, just the 31 words. But Sunday? Action. According to reports, Blanche held conference calls with all 94 U.S. attorneys across the country. Message: continue operating independently. Follow the law and the facts. That's reassurance to the field that DOJ won't become a political weapon. Smart move. Then Monday morning, different approach. Career DOJ officials, 73 of them, signed an internal letter supporting Blanche and DOJ independence, leaked to press within 2 hours. That's not accident, that's strategy. Show public support exists internally. Trump's response? Posted Monday afternoon. The deep state reveals itself. Clean house at DOJ coming soon. Threats clear. Fire everyone who supported Blanche. But there's a problem. Career DOJ officials have civil service protections. Can't just be fired for political reasons. Trump would have to go through formal processes. Takes time, lawyers, fights. And meanwhile, the news cycle keeps amplifying the conflict. Republican senators getting hammered by constituents on both sides. Some hearing, "Stand with Trump, fire Blanche." Others hearing, "Protect the rule of law, support Blanche." Party leadership trying to find middle ground. Good luck with that. This morning, now development, House Judiciary Committee announced emergency hearings for next week. Blanche invited to testify. He accepted. That means this goes public in a big way. Televised testimony, questions under oath, Blanche explaining exactly what Trump asked him to do and why he refused. Trump's team immediately called it a show trial by Never Trump Republicans. Problem? Judiciary Committee is Republican-controlled. Trump's attacking his own party. Not cooling down. Heating up. White House hasn't backed off the resignation demand. Blanche hasn't indicated any intention to comply. Stalemate with constitutional implications. What's still unclear, 1, whether Trump will actually try to fire Blanche despite legal constraints. 2, how many Senate Republicans would support removal versus oppose it. Coming, House Judiciary hearing scheduled for Monday, July 27th at 10 a.m. Blanche expected to testify for multiple hours. Senate Republicans holding private caucus meeting Wednesday to discuss their position. White House reportedly interviewing potential replacement AGs, though can't appoint without Blanche resigning or being removed. Date to watch, Monday, July 27th. Blanche's public testimony will either rally support or give Trump ammunition to force him out. Also watching, Wednesday, July 22nd, tomorrow. That's when DOJ Inspector General reportedly releasing a statement on whether the IG office will investigate the Friday confrontation. If the IG opens an investigation into whether Trump attempted to corrupt DOJ, that's a bigger crisis. Then there's the question nobody's asking yet. What happens if Trump fires Blanche unlawfully and Blanche refuses to leave? 2 people claiming to be attorney general? Sounds absurd. Constitutional scholars say it's possible. Saturday Night Massacre parallels everywhere. When Nixon fired the AG and deputy AG in 1973 for refusing to fire the special prosecutor, it triggered impeachment proceedings. We could be heading there again. Should know more after Monday's testimony. Subscribe, I'll cover the update when it drops. Where we are right now, Blanche still serving as Attorney General, Trump demanding resignation, Republican Party splitting, constitutional crisis unfolding, scheduled Wednesday, July 22nd, DOJ IG expected statement. Monday, July 27th, House Judiciary hearing with Blanche testimony. Wednesday, July 29th, Senate caucus meeting on a G situation. Friday, July 31st. Deadline, some Trump allies set for Blanche to resign voluntarily. Not public yet whether Senate Republicans have vote count for supporting or opposing Blanche's removal. That's happening behind closed doors. Trump's position? Increasingly isolated but defiant. Even allies are saying privately he overstepped, according to multiple reports. But publicly, staying loyal. Blanche's support? Growing among legal community, mixed in political world. DOJ morale reportedly strong, career staff rallying around him. But political appointees? Some quietly updating resumes. The legal community watching this as a defining moment. Because if a former prosecutor who became AG can't stand up to presidential pressure to break the law, the position becomes meaningless. Clock's running. Trump wants Blanche gone now. Blanche isn't leaving. Something breaks soon. That's where we are. Todd Blanche, former prosecutor, Trump's attorney general, now in open defiance of the president who appointed him. Surface read, AG won't prosecute judges, president demands it, constitutional crisis. But this reveals whether DOJ independence is real or just a norm that collapses under pressure. Every administration tests it. This one's breaking it. What I'll be watching? Monday's testimony. If Blanche lays out exactly what Trump demanded under oath on camera, it becomes impossible to spin. Either he's lying and commits perjury, Or he's telling the truth and Trump demanded something clearly illegal. No middle ground. Story's not over. Still developing. Subscribe for the full picture, not just headlines. Monday's hearing will be historic. The fallout, even more so. When it happens, I'll break it down. Talk soon. Friday, Tog Blanche